Welcome again to the Cashflow Chronicles. This is a unique one, yet again, of course, as I've had Chris Walcher on this series previously, and some exciting news as Chris actually just launched a book. You can see that book right behind him. It's called Corporate Casual, and I'm going to go grab it real quick. It's actually one of my favorite books, and this is a plug for you, Chris.
I appreciate that.
I think what's really cool about this book is when we talk about sales and you're incredibly successful in your sales career, sales are the lifeblood of a company. And the world of sales has shifted so much ever since COVID. I think what's really cool is what you put together in the book. So if you don't mind walking through a little bit, what was your motivation behind the book? Your background, what made you successful? And I guess we can start there.
Yeah, man, great question. And first of all, thank you. Thank you for buying the book. Thank you for digging into it. It was kind of a result of some blood, sweat, and tears of just like years of a collection of stories that I just kind of kept personal to myself on wins, like, dude, what did I do right? The losses, what did I do wrong? And kind of like developing an understanding along the way. And really the greatest takeaway is I still have no idea what I'm doing. And I think that that's the best pocket to live in as anybody in sales. Like, there's no one size fits all approach. And if there's anything that I've learned from writing the book, but more importantly, just from talking, like, Matt, you and I talk all the time. I know you talk with other sales and industry leaders. What I really, the greatest gem is leaning into the curiosity and learning about all the different approaches that you can take. So I released a book, Corporate Casual, tagline, stop trying to be someone else in sales. What do I mean by that? Is, look, me, Matt as well, outgoing personality. You know what I mean? You hand him a microphone, you put him on camera, boom, 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 cuckoo, cachoo, could sell like ice to an Eskimo type of thing. That personality matches that style approach. And I mean, I've been a sales leader for a number of years now. I've got multiple people on my team that are just rock star sales agents, but they sell so differently than the way that I sell. Like, I've got soft-spoken killers who like dive into the analytics. They're so good at putting together like the custom proposal, really speaking to the challenge. I've got some that honestly in the field visit or going to the conferences or really in person, face to face, absolute monsters. But you hear them on the phone, you're like, hey man, what did you tighten up there? And so a lot of what inspired me to come out with a book like Corporate Casual is it's different strokes for different folks. There is no one size fits all. Early in my sales days, I hopped on LinkedIn and I spent a solid amount of money buying the courses and using their templates. And what I learned is that, dude, it just wasn't me. And there's a way for me to be able to carve out success by leveraging who I am and my personality, the same way that I inspire the sales reps on my team to leverage who they are. Exactly, disgustingly who they are, the authenticity, their genuine approach. Like, the more that you could just be you in the sales seat and find whatever unique and specific approach works best for you, that's really what I want people to lean into. I'm learning new things every single day about different things I could do with my personality and my approach. And so, yeah, man, if anything, if there's one takeaway from anybody who steps into the corporate casual world, is just like, dude, find out who you are first. Once you figure that out, then you're going to be able to build the bridge into how you leverage that into sustainable success.
That's when I saw this book that you secretly have been hiding behind
I
me
did.
and
I
many
don't know.
others.
I was so nervous to release it, Matt. I know I told you. I was so nervous.
It hits a tone within my realm of sales professionals that I network with. Like, dude, like you bring up like MedPick, Challenger Sale, all these different sales frameworks, the consultant sales process, like they're great for what they are, but if a company mandates this is the way we sell, I feel like you have people that are kind of lost in the because results are what drive success.
100%.
So I'm sure you've seen in various corporations and things like that, well, we champion the challenger sale, or we champion this type of sales process. What are your thoughts in that framework type approach where it's math says, well, make 30 cold calls a day, you're going to have this success rate based on this close rate. This is the way to be successful. In your opinion, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, honestly, I think that they're just missing the point of sales altogether. When you come in with this, hey, my way or the highway, this is the exact process, the exact formula. What I think that it does is A, it demotivates a lot of the team. It takes away the uniqueness of their personality and the creativity that perhaps they could employ in scaling and measuring success. And I mean, look, man, you and I were reading Challenger Sale at the exact same time. And to be fair, I love that book. I go back to that book all the time for little nuggets. But even with corporate casual, like not everything inside of that sales literature is matches your personality or matches something to your strength that you can be able to leverage. And so that's one of the things that I love most about sales literature is there are these little nuggets, but going back to your question, so like if an entity isn't employing this, hey, it's gotta be this exact way, I really think that it stunts the opportunity and it takes away from a really like special type of magic that you have with your sales workforce by keeping them in a box. You know, like going back to what I was saying before, like I know that there are a lot of companies that are, hey, it's cold call, it's only cold call, outbound metrics. Check it out. I'm rubbish at cold calling. In fact, I still will make cold calls. I'm not like measured or tracked by it just to like try and see if I'm getting any better, you know? But it's just not me. It feels, you know, I like a genuine warm up. I like a relationship to add value without asking for anything in return before I get to a catalyst where I even feel like pitching what I'm talking about. But that's the unique formula for me, you know? But I got people on my team who are just killers at cold call. And so my man management with respect to personalities and strengths, I mean, I think that it's certainly something that I like to leverage and hold on to in a sales leadership position. Like I like to treat each person as the unique individual that they are and motivate them leveraging their own unique strengths because it's not the same across the board.
You know, I think that's the next question I have because obviously, as a manager, you have performance responsibility, and like, how do we build a structure that's repeatable? And obviously, that's a big thing within any corporate environment. Hey, we have to hit this sales number. My job as a manager is to ensure our team hits this. So I'm going to coach you. This is the pathway to get there. Thoughts on that from a manager perspective?
Yeah. No, and I think honestly that's something that I not struggle with, but it's certainly something that I address consistently. And my man management approach, it does not to say it makes the supervisory position of management more challenging, but it definitely makes it more intricate. Like what I'm doing is I create unique KPIs built off of a system of success that I've seen from each individual rep, right? And so overarching the universality of, hey, let's create a formula to rinse and repeat, lean into that for sure. But the formula is not the same for every single person. And so and like the other part of it, especially in management, is I'm not the smartest person in the room. I lead people that have years more experience than me. I lead people, we oversee like 6 different primary sectors: banking, finance, higher education, healthcare. You know, I can't be the expert in every single one of those facets. And so, one of the things that I lean into, especially when I am going into coachings and trainings with my team, is what can I learn from you? Like, dude, you're the expert. If you have a golden nugget of an idea, or you go, hey, Chris, look, healthcare, a lot of new regulations coming out, debt collection getting a little bit more challenging. We should leverage more of a first party support or early intervention or a putting patients first mentality. Like, dude, that's golden. You're all right, let me help you build this campaign and build this approach, leveraging the knowledge that you have and are sharing with me. So I think that with all things considered, that unique approach with the man management, but also just being curious is all heavens. Like, I can't pretend that I'm the expert. In fact, I always make the comment, if I'm not the dumbest person in the room, I'm probably in the wrong room. And so even though I have this quote unquote, I hate titles, this, you're the boss, you're the leader, I'm 100% not. If anything, I am the biggest hype man, and it's my responsibility to continue to hype you, motivate you, keep you focused on what the mission is. Obviously, there's KPIs and metrics that we have to measure along the way. And so that's really what my role is as long as my guys are showing up into the office and they're just so stoked to be there. They're proud of what we're selling. They believe in the mission. And now they've got this measurable target that fits perfectly with their approach and the stuff that they're into. Like, that's the world of sales that I'm trying to build upon for sure.
So, this is very cliche, but post-COVID, returning back to office, I'm sure you're familiar with the framework. Oh, we're going to have pizza Fridays every Friday.
Yeah.
This is our team bonding. We care about you type scenarios. And I'll be honest with you, I'm privileged to be in a lucky role where I'm essentially free to do as I see fit. I think we both work for environments like that. But what are your thoughts in that type of culture versus, because it seems like you're more like, hey, listen, I'm on the ground with you. Like, what do you need?
No, 100. And you bring up a really good point is, look, I am equally blessed to be able to work remote, but I make sure that I am in tune with each of my reps always, whether it's one-on-one type of coaching. We do Monday huddles. We do Monday and Friday huddles. Monday is for, like, we call it goal setting. What are we trying to accomplish this week? What's on the board? What's in the pipeline? What would make this week just like, dang, dude, I just knocked it out of the park. So that's what we tee up on Monday so that I know how can I best support each of you guys to achieve what you told me on Monday. And my Friday huddle, we call it achievements and culture. And the culture part is so huge. I'll get to that. So but Friday is, hey, man, you said you wanted to land this whale that you've been working on for 4 months. Did we get it? Dang, we didn't. Were we close? All right, sick. We were close. What do you think that you could have done differently? Well, I should have this. I didn't tee up the next appointment. I feel like I muddied the water. Dude, that's awesome. The best thing that you could have learned through not achieving that is exactly what you think that you should have done differently. So let's get back in the cockpit and let's fly the plane next week. Let's course correct to that stuff that you said you wanted to pivot on, and let's bring it home, baby. And then jump into the culture part. Is I used to work at a company where, you know, like where you just get that sick feeling in your stomach. I used to get it in high school where you're like, gosh, I just really don't want to go. It's not like anything is due, but every time I'm in there, I just feel sick to my stomach and like I want to leave. This culture part is building and harvesting relations inside of the team where it's not just me who's the hype man. And, you know, I got my team members who are hyping me up on a Friday if they're seeing I'm feeling a little melancholy. And we lean into that culture. I got teammates that are, hey, Joe, I saw that you were talking with ABC Company last week. Dude, my sister's whatever is a small arm inside that company. We should tee up. So like we are creating this environment where not only do the people on my team want to support and lift each other up, but it's just a very open dialogue. We're stoked to be here. We're all hungry. We're all trying to put additional coins in our pocket. I think all of those components working cohesively together is kind of the atmosphere that I'm trying to jump into, especially in a world where the majority of my team, we are remote. We're working digitally. And so there's no pizza in the office on Fridays. There's no ping pong table, you know, in the conference room. There's like the only thing that we could do is build a culture, develop relationships, and just maintain that, man, we just want to support the pants off of everybody as we're building towards this collective goal.
Yeah, I think that's really I think it's a challenge across the board with remote work. Everyone's like, "Well, come in the office. We can build a culture that way." And I think I'm privileged. I'm in various networking groups, and we're industry kind of different sectors, but we encourage like vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're here like for each other, not just for lead exchanges. Let's just like exchange what's going on in life.
Yeah.
And I care about those people immensely for that exact reason. So I think that's vital because we're not just employees; we're also people. To your point,
Yeah, man. You want to
obviously
feel
you're
like
a
you're
leader.
part of something, man. I want to feel like I'm a part of something bigger than myself. I'm this little piece of the puzzle that's like developing this masterpiece, you know?
And let's be honest, seeing your coworker land something really huge is a huge win to you. It's like, oh man, he's kicking tail.
Yeah.
But what is he doing? And he or she is willing to share that success with you. Like, this is what I did. Try it. I don't know. If you create versus a competitive environment where your colleagues are all competing against each other, it's not fun.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not. And dude, I love those win stories and I love the fail stories. You know, going back to it, I think you made such a powerful comment. When you're vulnerable and you are vulnerable in a space that you know is a safe space for you, and people are going to, hey, I was in that position once, and here's what I did. Joe, no, no, no. I was feeling that way once, and actually what I did was I did XYZ. It just is such a beautiful thing to hear the exchange of battlefield stories when you hit those pockets, win or loss. So I 100% agree with you, man.
I think of it as like a peer mentorship because I'm sure in your team you have varying levels of career time. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I had that issue when I was in that position. This is what it worked for me. I think that's incredibly helpful. So, just from a sales strategy standpoint, you talk a lot about emotional intelligence, and that's kind of a big buzzword with emotional intelligence. So, when it comes to like coaching someone or a sales individual to emphasize emotional intelligence, let's say you're reaching out to a stranger, what are some tips you have emphasized in the book and in life?
Yeah, man. So I'll go back to the comment that I made earlier, and it's kind of the foundation of the book is you gotta know who you are before you can develop what your sales approach is. I'll tell you a quick story. So before I got into financial services and sales and like corporate America, if you will, I was the head coach of a women's D3 college soccer team, right? And my first 2 weeks there were so brutal. Dude, they were so brutal. I could tell the entire team hated me. Rightfully so, because I walked in like I was some English Premier League's coach, you know, very like loud voice, very aggressive, very like boom, boom, boom. And what I learned is, dude, your approach as a coach or a leader, it relies on the man management. And so my understanding of, okay, this defender over here, man, if I scream at her, that's going to light her up and she's going to hit the field and she's just going to go, you know, like balls to the walls, right? But if I take that same approach with my left midfield, for instance, she's a killer, a little bit more soft spoken. So, like, there's no way I could yell at her because then she's going to hit the field and going to feel completely defeated, right? So, what I do is, and it transitions into how I'm leading the team now, is you got to understand the different personalities and then use that knowledge to leverage what is the best way to light the flame. If I go over to her, I put my hand on her shoulder and say, hey, come on, man, be a goldfish. You want to know why goldfish is the best animal in the world? They got a 10-second memory. All right. Be a goldfish. Whatever happened 10 seconds ago, get it out, get back on the pitch, and let's light it back up. And that approach works for her, and it's different for somebody who you really need to scream to fire them up. And so I think that that's really kind of the baseline is you got to figure out who you are to understand what's going to work best. So now back to your question in terms of, let's say I'm trying to get an absolute stranger into my pipeline for sales. My approach, research the pants off of them, whether it's on their LinkedIn, anything that I could find on the company website. I want to get familiar and then leverage that due diligence in the research to be able to formulate my intro to them. And mind you, my intro has nothing to do with sales. It has nothing to do with the service that I'm trying to sell. It's very along the lines of I'm patient to look for my pocket to perform outreach. Like, I got one prospect in the credit union world, massive UWE fan, right? And every now and then he'll post something on his LinkedIn timeline, like a picture of him holding the belt, or he'll make a reference in text to, like, well, this reminds me of WrestleMania 34 with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And I will leverage that interest to sneak into his DMs or drop a quick call and just be like, dude, I saw that you're a massive WWE fan. I grew up almost like praising Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's my intro is I just want to develop a relationship based off of a very unique interest. And then you slowly baby step into building a relationship. Anything that I could do to provide value right off the cuff is going to be my angle. And then I'm a marathon sales guy. I'm not a sprinter. So I'll play the long game with you for 8 months, just waiting for that one pocket where I go, aha, hey, that's my gap. That's my gap right there. And then you go back to Mr. WWE and go, hey man, you dropped a comment last week when we were talking about struggling with collections, or sometimes you just feel like your AR is all over the place. Like, dude, I would love to pick your brain about what you guys are doing. And if I got any nuggets of advice or suggestions, like, I'd love to just share and like swap some war stories on what you guys are doing. And that's the world I live in. So if anything makes sense, I'd love to explore it a bit further. Super hands off, right? But that works for me. Doesn't work for everybody. So you got to know who you are first.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that as well. How many times I've been meeting with businesses and I just talk to them as people, like, what can I do for you? Like, let's talk about life.
Yeah.
Some of them are very like to the point, very driven. I only have 5 minutes. Let's get this done. And I think that ties into emotional intelligence too, how you can read the room and you kind of go off of that. One of the things was Ted Lasso inspired by you.
No, dude, I feel like I am inspired by Ted Lasso. I know you got the goldfish comment. In fact, just today on my LinkedIn, I posted like, be curious, not judgmental, which is the dart scene from the TV show. But I lean so heavy into that Ted Lasso mentality from a leadership position, dude, just from a living life position on how I want to make people feel, how I want to perceive information and register and respond. Ted Lasso is the GOAT. I mean, he is. FC Richmond all day.
I just love that movie or that show is complete fiction and it's so inspirational. That's the
Yeah.
craziest part about that entire show.
No, it's the
You just
best,
want
man.
that dart scene was the best.
Yeah. Yeah. And dude, the thing about that dark scene or the dart scene translating back to sales is, and it's the stem of the be curious, not judgmental, is like, obviously this guy is trying to screw Ted over. And he wasn't asking any of the correct questions, the curiosity questions, the discovery questions, if you will. Because if he did, he would have known Ted was a tremendous darts player, right? But he was so caught up on what his objective was, on what his intent was, and in the sales world, so caught up in me trying to tell you about how awesome I am and everything I can provide to you, that I'm completely missing that gap or opportunity to learn more about you. And being able to take that information I learned about you to then build in what my pitch or what the proposal is going to be. So, who would have thought? A silly HBO soccer TV show, really the catalyst for just like phenomenal sales acumen and growth, man. I love it so much.
Yeah, I think it really ties down to communication. And that's really how effectively can you communicate. And to tie it back to the book, when you're yourself, you're not second guessing. Because let's be honest, the world of sales and revenue generation isn't an easy gig.
No,
So there's a lot of trial and error that comes to the play, but when you can stay true to who you are as a person, it really makes it a lot more natural and authentic, which no one wants to hear this formulaic book time on Wednesday or Thursday, which works best. Like
100%,
that
man.
can work, but is that kind of forcing the value proposition versus, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah.
And granted, that can, as you said, that can work for some individuals in certain industries, but I know that doesn't line with both of us. So
No, for sure. Well, look, dude, nobody's sitting in the third grade and they say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And they go, I want to be in sales." Like nobody,
yeah,
that's not ever anybody's answer. We accidentally fall into this kind of pocket and universe of sales and go, "Hey, wait a minute, I bet I could make a couple bucks off of this." And you slowly just kind of graduate into the position that you and I are in today. We're like, dude, the way that you sell, which is phenomenal, way different than the way that I sell. We're both like streamlining success to the moon. Sky's the limit. But yeah, dude, you got to lean into it. And one of the things that I value about you, Matt, is, dude, you are not afraid to fail. And that's, I think, a similar characteristic in myself. I always use the expression fail forwards, man, and fail forwards as many times as humanly possible, especially in sales. Because if you're not failing, dude, then you're not living the sales dream. And slowly but surely, from failing, you're gonna start collecting some dubs. And then you're gonna figure out what equation you just did in your approach to collect even more dubs. And then, lo and behold, 10 years later, you're like, man, I have my own unique approach to get the W. And that's what it's all about, man. High pressure, high risk, high reward, all things in between. That's sales.
yeah. I mean, it's my fiance. She's like, "How can you live your life? I see you every day." It's like it's enjoyable. I don't think you realize just
You
the
look
highs and
stressed
lows
out of
of
your
it.
mind, honey. Are you sure? You're like, no, I'm living it, girl.
And there's so many variables that contribute to it too. There's peaks and valleys and everything. So it's like you're in the drain. Like, are you
Yeah.
all right? I'm like, I put so much energy and effort into this, and it's just not the right time or anything along those lines. So I'll kind of wrap it up here too, because everyone's time is valuable. I want to make sure this is a really productive conversation. So, what's the one sales rule that you think should be retired?
The one sales rule that should be retired,
Yes, if you had
man,
to come up with one general
dang, it's
deep
hard for
thought,
me. It's
cuts you.
hard for me to keep it at just one. What is the same or the one sales rule that should be retired? I would say stop talking about yourself. Stop talking about your service. Stop talking about the benefits and the values and the ROI that whatever you're selling is. Stop talking about that stuff and pivot to talk about them. Talk about what are you guys doing internally? That's interesting. Well, what happens if this happens? Be curious and lean into that discovery. That's what I would say is stop talking about yourself. That needs to be retired. And I'll even caveat into saying, and I've gotten a lot of negative feedback from this, but I would retire the call to action, the CTA, if you will. Get it out of here, man. When you're sitting at a bar with somebody and you guys are having healthy back and forth, could you imagine if we cheers and I'm like, "Hey, Matt, this has been a great conversation. Why don't we tee up some time and I'll show you a demo?" Like, no way, bro. That it triggers sales resistance, and there's a way to get to that demo that is so much more authentic and so much more genuine and powered by them because of your curiosity instead of by yourself because I've been talking about how great I am for the last 30 minutes. So that's what I would retire.
The good old features and benefits dump, the fab
Yeah.
dump. We're so
Yeah,
great for
man.
these reasons. Why do I
100%.
care? Who are you again?
Yeah.
The next question: when did you realize in your sales career that authenticity wins?
Man,
some deep thoughts in closing.
Dude, that's a huge thought. When did man, I feel like I'm still realizing and still finding ways that I could be more authentic and genuine. But the way that I think that I realized the most was kind of going back into the inception of before I even knew I was going to write a book. It was just collecting sales stories. I really bought the courses, Matt. Would spend $500 on a 6-week course from this guru who knows everything, and I would to the T follow every instruction and every template that this person's approach that worked for him. I would try that myself. And I did that with about 3 different courses, and the result every single time, big old goose eggs, man. And it wasn't until I tried, like immediately afterwards, I was defeated. And so I probably took a handful of calls and meetings where I was just disgustingly myself, probably to the point where I'm even wearing like a backwards hat in the meeting, which, different strokes, different folks type of thing. I don't always recommend it, but it was at that time that I started to really kind of see some momentous fire of people wanting to connect with people rather than a product or a service or a benefit or an ROI. So yeah, that was my fail forwards is I tried the courses, man, and it didn't get me anywhere. And so the moment I started leaning into what I think that I could do, leveraging my strengths, is the moment it kind of took off for me.
I think I tell this all the time within my network, and who am I? They're all incredibly sharp folks. But people just want to talk to people. We have AI coming out to do all these automated. I have AI cold call me all the time now, which is what it is. But people just want to talk to people. Time's efficient, time's limited for everybody.
Yeah.
So how can we do it efficiently? But at the same time, just be yourself. Not this robotic, formulaic, this is the way to build the perfect cold email. Like, I get it. Leverage it, but just be yourself at the same standpoint.
Yeah.
I think this is the final question, so be prepared.
Brace myself. You ran deep on the last one, so I'm ready for you.
I know we all have our favorite books. I have a book I go to when anyone's like, hey, I'm thinking about going into sales. What's the one book outside of yours, of course? Hey, read my book, want to get in sales.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't shameless plug to answer this.
What would be the book you would recommend?
Without question, undeniably, 100%, my favorite sales book in the universe that I still pull it back off the shelf over and over and over. In fact, my copy of it right now has just so many chicken scratch scribbles on it in different pen colors from different times that I've gone back, is a book by an ex or former FBI investigator. He was a hostage negotiator, and the book is called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. This book taught me everything that is the art of negotiation. And he was using scenarios of like hostage negotiation and serious FBI crime stuff to paint the picture, which was really exciting to read about. But he translated those circumstances into how to just negotiate, not solely in a business world, but like, dude, I try some of those tips and tricks on my daughters when they're asking for candies. And it's things like, asking open-ended questions or mirroring when you're waiting for a little bit more information. For those of you guys listening, mirroring is if Matt goes, hey, you know what? We just can't do this right now. It's too expensive. Maybe I'll say, can't do it right now. It's too expensive. And then even the way I said that, tonality, upwards inflection, which bridges additional curiosity. Like, dude, and I'm just scratching the surface. There are so many nuggets inside of this book, Never Split the Difference. And I talk about it a little bit, even in corporate casual. It legit changed my life in sales.
I did that to Jules, and she's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Dude, it gets them, bro. It's dude, that you can't deny the subconscious or the psychological component of sales is so fascinating, dude. It's so fascinating. And so if you're looking for something that's just a real mind bend in the right direction, particularly as you're going like toe to toe in negotiating, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. He also runs a sales association called the Black Swan Group. He's got a newsletter that goes out. I recommend signing up. It's free. Just boom, little nuggets in your inbox every single week of how to make you just a real sales confident warrior. Oh.
So I think the one thing I want to end this in closing is sales is the reality of life. It's how businesses run. Sometimes there's a connotation that salespeople are greedy, just want to get paid. And I think we can both speak to it like, hey, we're here to help. Getting in the door is the initial battle, but maybe we're not a fit for you, but just give me a chance to look. And I think some people think, no, we're not interested. What are you trying to sell? It's like, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want introduction.
Yeah.
And I think with that authenticity of just building trust is really, that's kind of how we both operate, and other people are way more transactional, like very to the point.
Yeah.
And it's how they're wired. And I think you do emphasize that in the book too.
No,
Stick
man.
to who you are as a person.
And gosh, I love that you just made that comment. If my service isn't a good fit for you, I'm gonna tell you. I'm not in it just for the transaction. I'm not just trying to hit some pretend number. Like, I want to help you, man. I want to support you. And so I think that's a beautiful thing that you said, because that is what sales is, man. I just want to help. And if it's not my outfit that's going to serve you the best service or result, then dude, I'm not going to trick you into my outfit for you to jump on board. It just doesn't make sense, man.
You'd be surprised, not in my current role, but a number of times in previous roles, I said, hey, we're not a fit for these reasons. Like, I can offer other solutions that could be a better fit. I want to make sure your time is well spent. They're like, oh, no, we can make it work with you.
That's what happens. That's when they go, well, shoot, what do I need to adjust or change internally so that I am a good fit for you? Because I like this guy, Matt. I want to work. I could choose a million different services, but I want to work with this guy, Matt. So whatever I need to do so that I'm qualified to get to work with Matt, that's what I'm going to do. And that's a catch-22. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, it's just a trust game. I think that's really the point. It's like, hey, let's meet. Maybe we can go get coffee. You like me, you don't like me, just let me know. We're adults.
Yeah.
So, end scene, what is your final plug? Who should read this book, Chris? What's the insights they're going to gain? And ultimately, how can they purchase it? Let's hear the sales pitch.
I'll leave you with this. I don't even have the elevator pitch for it. I didn't even realize I was releasing a book until it was finally out. I was so nervous to get it out. Corporate casual. Stop trying to be someone else in sales. Understand who you are as a person, your personality ethos, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, before you even look at strategy, approach, picking up a phone for a cold call. Understand who you are first. And I think that this book best serves, obviously, anybody in a sales role. The most experienced person in a sales role. If you're still not pursuing growth and trying to learn more, you've hit your cap. You're going to be overrun and outdated eventually. If you're a brand new salesperson, man, I would probably recommend this book. And I preface on the first page, Matt, you saw, I said, disclaimer, I'm not a sales expert. I probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But leaning into that, who are you and how can you leverage who you are to scale success in your entry sales position? This book is for you, man. And if all else fails, if you don't walk away with a single golden nugget of value, I'm from the mean streets of Los Angeles. I grew up surfing, skateboarding. I was into the graffiti art world, punk rock bands. And so that's how I wrote it. I say dude, I say bro, I say gnarly. It's written in a very street vibe sense. So if there's no golden nuggets in there, at the very least, it should be a pretty fun read. So I'll leave you with that. It's available on Amazon. You can get hardcover. It's also on Kindle digital. You can order that on the Kindle app or through Amazon platform as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you spending some time and sharing some insights. I do think your approach really resonates in the world of sales nowadays because it's a frequent conversation that I have with many, and it's I recommend the book very, very much so. I think others will you'll see his name tagged on LinkedIn and think they'll resonate with that as well. So thank you so much, Chris. And
Thank you, Matt.
Everyone.
Thank you, man. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to come and rap about this baby I've been working on. And, dude, Matt, everybody listening, if you guys don't know, Matt's such a great guy, dude. I've known this dude for years at this point. Just such a great guy. You want to talk about a hype man? Matt, such an honor. I appreciate you having me on to talk a little bit about my nonsense. You're the real MVP. I appreciate you, bro.
It's duplicative, Chris. You're the inspiration, truth be told.
We'll catch you on the next.